Hello everyone, welcome back to the Forge. Today I'm going to show you how to make your first scroll. For you guys that already know how to make scrolls, I hope to impart enough in this little lesson to maybe help you become even more proficient at scrolls and getting them symmetrical. Maybe you're already proficient at that, this video isn't for you. Today we're going to be doing a simple just drawn taper, what you would just consider maybe like a ribbon in scroll. In future videos I may do more elaborations on scrolls just depending on what people would like. You can let me know in the comment sections down below what maybe type of scrolls you guys would like to see next, and we'll see what we can do. So thanks for being here, thanks for watching, let's get started. Alright, the first step in making a scroll is just good layout and understanding the techniques and what you're actually looking for. I'm here at the workbench, just welding table, shop welding table, and I'm going to use a piece of soapstone to take and draw an illustration for you of what I believe is a good looking scroll. There's multiple ways of making scrolls depending on what style of ironwork you're doing. Many different elements you can incorporate. There's a lot of guys out there that do a lot of railings and things of that nature. I don't specifically specialize in a lot of railings, so I can't really speak for them. There's probably some more knowledgeable people out there than me. In fact, probably a whole truckload of more knowledgeable people about making scrolls. But I'm going to share with you what I know about them. First off, I don't use really any sort of math or calculations. I've heard of doing like a square box method and drawing smaller boxes within that. You've heard of the golden rule and things like that mentioned. You're not going to hear any of that here today. I'm a visual person and I'm a visual learner, and that's just how I learn and work best, is just figuring out what it is that I want to see in the long run, and just going from there. Scrolls are supposed to take and emulate organicness or flowingness of design, so this way things aren't just starch in an environment. So that's what I think about whenever I design a scroll for a project or any sort of ironwork. Obviously, if you're making a gate or railing, you've got a bigger job of figuring out exact measurements of stock and things like that, so you know how much to buy and how much to bid. But if you're a beginner and you're just wanting to make, up a few scrolls to make a little decorative project or something, this method will work great for you. So the first start is you have to take and find the center of your scroll, and the center of your scroll is going to be what your finial is, or your final bit, the innermost portion of the scroll. What is it going to look like? Is it going to be a bead on the end of something? Is it going to be a flower, a rosette? What will this be? Is it just going to kind of just curl around and stop? Is it just going to be a flat? Is it going to be a fishtail? This is something that you have to think about before you design the rest of the scroll. What I consider to be a good scroll, and see if I can sketch here. Now I'm delving into new territory here, guys, because I hate sketching. In fact, I'm horrible at it. But I am going to try to draw the best that I know how, so you guys can get a good illustration of what I believe is a nice looking scroll. So right here I'm drawing out very slowly. I'm drawing out exactly what we are going to be making today. As you can see, this takes and reduces down into a taper. That's what I'm going for today. I'm just going to tuck this taper right around and just touch the parent bar stock and continue with my scroll. This is what I'm looking for right here. Your entire scroll, I don't care how big it is, hinges on this one critical moment right here. This is the start. This will dictate what your scroll ends up looking like in the end. Excuse the wind, it's awful windy here in the great state of Ohio today. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, or maybe you can just hear my voice talking, but I'll try to talk up just in case the wind gets real loud. Like I was saying, this is your hinge point. this is going to dictate what the rest of your scroll is going to look like. If you make this first bend too loose, if you try to make bends around it tighter, what are you going to end up with? Not a scroll. Well, at least just not a very good looking one. If you make this a really tight end here, but then you go real sloppy and loose out like, what are you going to end up with? Not a good scroll. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have a good start point, you have a good reference point later on as you go on. What you'll notice is when we start bending our scroll out, okay, as we start bending our scroll out, I'm going to try to draw this out right. Yeah, I already screwed it up. As we start bending the scroll up and start scrolling this on around, okay, I'm going to show you in chalk here, so this way when I go to the live demo, you'll see what I'm talking about a little more. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Okay, there you go. I'm kind of getting off page a little bit. But if you notice, how are you going to get in here to hammer anymore if something's messed up here, considering you've got all this material now in the way? It's going to be awful hard to get into these little tight areas after this has been around. And as we go right on around with this scroll, and I'm just drawing it loosely here, guys. So, you know, like I said, I'm not a doodler, I'm not a drawer. Don't haze me too much in the comments on this. But as you can see, as we go around there, that closes that up even worse. So as we keep going and going and going and going, every successive turn of this scroll or this spiral that you're getting here, you are now closing off the window of opportunity that you had to take and make or fix a certain section of the scroll. So, like I said, if your start point is good, then most likely your end point will be good. But it gives you a good reference point then to take and go off of. So my suggestion is, if you have a bunch of scrolls to make, start with this section of the scroll first on all of them. Get all these to look alike by whatever means necessary, and then progress from there to the rest of the scrolling work. Usually if I have a bunch that I need to do, I make jigs, make scroll jigs. That's a common practice amongst blacksmiths and ornamental iron workers for eons, is to make jigs. So, you know, don't think that you have to make every last one as a subject of skill exactly perfect. And in fact, if you make them too hermetically perfect and look like factory made, they just look like garbage. So we're going to go over the forge now. I'm going to bring up a piece of stock that I've already got tapered out, and I'm going to show you this first little bit of the scrolling, and then we'll move on to the rest and see how we come out. So that'll be the next clip. Alrighty, first tip I can give you in making this scroll, I've got it heating up here in the forge, is you do not want to do anything in which that you will create a flat spot in an arc. Reason for that being is when you take and you bend the scroll on around, you're going to see knuckles in your work. That is unattractive. You want to see a nice, smooth, clean arc. For that reason, I use, see if that'll focus, a rawhide mallet. You guys that have been watching me for a little while now, you know I love this thing. Probably a little too much. It's about wore out. I don't want to take a chance of hitting a piece of material and leaving a flat that I will cover up later. Before I add the rawhide mallet, and when I need more oomph on the job, I will use a wood mallet to form scrolls. This is personal preference. I have found that it takes a little longer. You don't get as much force because you're swinging this little lightweight rawhide mallet. But what you'll notice is you will also not have as many problems as people do with flats in, you know, weird spots in their scrolls. So another thing that I do, quick tip, is I do not go to the edge of the anvil over here. Once again, flats, sharp corners, you're going to leave flats in your work. So it's my suggestion to start your scroll on the horn and do all the necessary tapping and bit around. So what we want for this first heat is we want a really nice hot heat on the tip because we want it to move the most, and graduated heat away from the tip back up the bar. A lot of scroll work is not just about moving the metal, you know, the exact piece or whatever with a hammer. It's not all hammer technique. A lot of it has to do with the correct heat to get the job done. As I'm sitting here talking, you can see this tip's already cooled off. I didn't bring it out hot enough. We're going to go ahead and heat that up again. Let me get up here close to the camera. Okay, yeah, you guys can see that. All right. But as you can see, we already started to roll this. And as you can also tell, there's no flats in it. Reason why? There can't be any flats in it. The hammer face up here is soft, and the surface below it is a curvature. No flats to be had. That's just kind of the logic behind it. I hope you guys can take that to heart, especially maybe some of you professional guys have been doing scrolls a long time. You can feel free to disagree with me, but I find this to be more effective. And when I'm not talking, I find that I can still knock out a scroll just as quick with the rawhide mallet as I can as if I had a hammer in my hand, with the added benefit of, there again, I'm not trying to worry about not leaving hammer marks in the piece. It's already taken care of itself. So I'll take another heat here, we'll come back, and I'll show you this, how we're going to tuck this on around. And when we tuck this on around, we're just going to tighten up this inner curl now before we get too far. Okay, get a nice hot heat. We're going to set the bottom radius there, and we're just going to tap this tip on around. We're going to tap it down. We're never going to hit in the same place twice. Start working it back, working on the radius like so, and just tighten that up. You know, let that thing flow around a little bit. You know, that's looking pretty nice. So all I'm going to do from here is I'll go ahead and heat this back up again. You know, it takes longer than what it would be if I wasn't explaining. If I wasn't explaining, I'd already have this portion done. But as you can see, I have not left a flat in my work yet. And that is what you're wanting. You're wanting this really nice, delicate looking scroll at the end. A lot of times I'll choose to leave the little negative space in there. I'm going to tighten it up just a little more, and then we will continue scrolling it. So we'll go on to the next clip. I'll tighten that up a little bit, and then the next clip I'll show you the progression of where we're going with. All right, everyone. As you go on this scroll, you want to take progressively longer and longer heats and increase the stick out that you're doing over the horn of the anvil. Keeping in mind not to hit the piece you've already worked, working it back towards yourself, and creating these nice, graceful arcs that we're talking about. Keeping in mind how tight you're wanting to make your scroll in the first place. We'll straighten that out on the anvil a little bit. But I want you guys to see this arc developing. I don't know if this is looking like what we had drawn over on the table, but it's got to be getting close. We're giving a little brush off here. I want you to take a look at that. Look how clean that line is. Look how nice that's coming along. So you can see a little bit of wobbliness here. What that is, that's actually hammer blows that I put on the edge when I broke the corners. This is just a piece of scrap. This is actually 1/2 inch square, and I drew it down with a nice long distilled taper. You know, this is essentially it. You know, I'm going to keep progressing with this. I'll heat it up. The next time I take a heat, you know, that last heat was a good maybe 3-4 inches long or so. The next heat I'll take, it'll be like a nice good 6 inches long and partly into the last heat there. And you just keep shoving this through the fire and taking longer and longer heats on it to keep getting that nice graceful arc. As I said in the beginning, a lot of guys think it's all hammer skill to create certain shapes, but it can really help you out to get good and proficient, really good and proficient at controlling your heat and putting the hottest part of your heat where you want it to move the most. That's just kind of a quick tip there for the guys and the gals that are staying around to watch these videos this long. You know, it really does help out, and it makes things go a lot smoother. You know, and which allows you to make more items, which allows you to have more fun, and move on and progress. So anyways, we'll take one more heat and I'll finish off essentially this scroll, and we'll go compare it to the drawing and see how close I came from memory. Alright, we took another good long heat on this, and here we go. We're going to move out here for a second just to tighten that up. Take a nice big long hammered heat here and start working this. Remember, keeping in mind, if you see a flat spot develop, once you hammer this over, it's done. You're going to have to uncurl your scroll to get back in there. And then at that point, it never looks right after you've fixed it up. It just looks so much better if you get it done the first time around as you go. But we'll brush that off. You can see the nice sweeping arc to it. That's what we're looking for. Nice clean work. That rawhide mallet helps to keep the work clean too. It kind of pops off the scale. But it's been a long time since I made a scroll, guys. But I'm pretty happy with that. That's coming out pretty well. One last little tidbit and tip for this. Let's say, for instance, if you got more heat here, but you're wanting it to bend here, what do you think is going to happen when you hit it? Just joking. I know you guys can't talk live like that, but maybe a few of you jumped into the comment section. What's going to happen is when you're trying to force this around, this is going to want to straighten because this is hot. Because the kinetic energy of your blow hitting here, just behind that point, okay, creates a ripple effect, okay? So it makes that want to bend up. It makes that mass want to jump up or wobble. Well, when it does that, it freezes. And then, say you do actually accomplish that bend, now what do you think you have? You'll have a flat right in that area. So that's where heat control is very important. You want the hottest part to be where you're wanting it to bend the most, but you also want a little bit of the heat back up into the scroll. Because likewise, say you got a really hot spot here, but this spot right here where it needs to bend to is just really cold, you're going to bend it, but you're going to leave a kink. So once again, having a nice heat to where it gradually gets hotter from the scroll end, from the point, as you come around. So say you're on this pass here, you want to leave a little heat in here, so you want this to maybe be like a dull red, or maybe a bright red, or maybe a bright orange, and then you want this to be back into yellow. And when you do that, you hit the colder portion first, and the hotter portion will bend to match the arc on what you're doing on the colder portion. So hopefully that wasn't all out of shot. It looks like it was. Nope, you're good. That will help you out in the long run tremendously. This is not only applicable to scroll work. It's any bends that you're trying to do. So I challenge you guys, the guys that are just starting out, the guys who's maybe following along with a few of these simpler projects and things, you know, maybe you've been blacksmithing a year or maybe 10 years. I challenge you to work as efficiently as you can, but I want you to pause maybe sometime this week when you're at your forges and hit the material and watch what it does. I mean, truly watch what it does. Don't sit here and just, you know, whack it and, you know, hit it like crazy, because in those little instances, a lot of times you miss the little nuances of what the steel is doing. So I challenge you all to hit the steel, see what it does, see what changed. May even put you some reference points with some, like maybe punch marks on the steel, and hit it in different ways and see what changes. Did it twist? Did it bend? Did it stretch? Did it compress? Do some tests like that. It may seem like it's kind of redundant or rhetorical, but I'm telling you, having a good understanding of what your material is doing is going to last you in the long run. It will help you with all of your work. All of it. I don't care if you're a welder, I don't care if you're a basket weaver. If you understand what your material is doing, what your media that you're working with is doing, you will be a much better craftsman because of it. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. I'll go compare it to my drawing over here. That'll be the next clip. And that'll be the end of this video. Oh, thank you everyone for watching. Alrighty, and here we are, folks. As you can see, I definitely need to practice my scroll work. We're not even close to what I had drawn on the picture. Got a little carried away. As you can see here, so if you're going to the drawing, you can see that right here, I'm clearly not following this inside line around. Obviously, this isn't as big of a scroll and whatnot. You know, there's some different things to take in effect. But the important thing is I got this first part correct. So this here can always be stretched out a little bit, and you can always work it around that line. You know, there again, I didn't start out trying to make this exact scroll on the table. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But anyways, you can see how I got this first little part, and that was mainly what I was trying to take and show you all. You can see that that is a pretty good looking scroll, all things considering. You know, scroll work is can add a lot of flourishes to your life, into your you know, into your business. I hope this video was informative for everybody. If you like the video, you know what to do. Hit the like button. If you want to subscribe to see some more of my content, please do. You know, be glad to have you. And just thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. God bless you all.